Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of One Vision, the FinTech Views. This is Theo, your host for today's episode. Joining us on the show today is a friend I have had the opportunity to get to know better, but would love to know even more. It's Amanda Estiverne, Director, Head of Payments Practice at Perficient, and the founder and advisor for AGE Advisors. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Oh my goodness, Theo, welcome for having me. I finally made the show. I'm so excited.
Well, we are finally able to bring your energy to the show. Oh my God. If there's anything, right? You have a lot of titles, you do a lot of things, you're in a lot of places, but if there's
Yeah.
one thing I always remember is every time I see you, it doesn't matter if it's Amsterdam, New York, where else have we gone out lately? Vegas,
DC.
DC, everywhere. It's like just a sheer bundle of joy and energy. So, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to dig a little bit more into what we had not yet talked about. I'm
Yeah.
very intrigued. So, let's start with the big question. Who is Amanda? Because a lot of your work focus on financial inclusion. You're advocating for fairness by design with your work with different groups and startups and organizations and what have you. Tell us a little bit more about your journey and what led you down the path that you are on right now.
Oh my goodness, what a loaded question, Theo.
Sorry.
No, and as you said, I've been a busy person. First off, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited. It's been a ride. I've been in financial services now for 20 plus years. 20 plus years. And I've always been on the building side of the house, right? I Half of my experience was with the fintech. I was with Synchrony Financial, and that's where I cultivated a lot of my payment expertise. So there is where I got a chance to manage very large relationships such as Mastercard, Visa, Discover. I helped them build out their PayPal co-branded card. I was also part of when they sold their acquiring side of the business, so I managed the relationship with WorldPay and FIS. And so that's really where I cultivated a lot of that payment expertise. So I understood like banking behind the scenes, right? Like under the hood, understanding the rails. And so the last 3 years, I've been on the consultative side of it. So now helping to build solutions around what the financial institutions are facing. And within that, if you think about it, I've been in the intersection of banking, fintech, and technology. But my North Star has always been building a financial ecosystem that actually works for everyone, right? Um, and so, that's why I'm excited. I'm at Proficient. I lead our payments practice. I get a chance to work with large organizations, but I also founded AG Advisors, where I do a little bit of fintech scouting, and I work with fintechs that are focused on fintech for social good, right? Putting the consumer as their problem statement that they're solving. And so I'm also, more titles. I also sit on the board of NAFLI, which stands for National Alliance for Financial Literacy and Inclusion. And interesting enough, I got a chance to join them last year. And they asked me to join as a payment expert, but they were trying to build out not only amplifying financial education, but really amplifying education around technology distribution, right? Meaning this concept of financial inclusion and really making sure we're messaging financial protection around those two concepts. But yeah, I've been a little busy, and now recently I've gotten a chance to work with the Consumer Reports Organization as they've put together a very interesting playbook that they're calling the Fair Design Playbook. And what it does is it's focusing on this concept of building a fair and safe financial ecosystem. And if you think about it, with our administration, our administration has lightened, the regulations and policies, which is pushing forward innovation, right? Innovation and technology. But I've been amplifying this concept or conversations around us remaining human in the technology that we're building. And so, in a nutshell, that's Amanda. Amanda's been all over the place, all over the world, right? Having these progressive conversations about, fintech for social good, remaining human in our financial ecosystem, still having empathy in banking, like understanding everyone's scenario so that you're building the right solutions. And so that's me a little bit in a nutshell. That's a lot.
No, 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 no. I love that. I feel like you're my soul sister because
Ooh,
that's just very similar path I've I've embarked on for a while now. I love what you talked about empathy. I loved when you were talking about bringing the ecosystem and all the stakeholders together to build a better world.
mhm.
It reminds me of something that someone said a while ago: if innovation doesn't make the world a better place, then what's the point, right? And bring people along. It's something that we need to do and we must do more. And to your last point about creating a fair and safe financial ecosystem, I'm a firm believer that regulation and innovation must and can go together. It's not mutually exclusive, right? In the interest of opening up the ecosystem to let more people play and do things and create things with less constraints, that does not mean that we leave the consumers out in the cold.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility. So, with that being said, I wanted to ask you, when we look across our society, looking across the challenges and opportunities, if you will, that money and technology can enable and should
Yeah.
enable, to your point, what comes to mind? What do you think technology and money can do? And are we focusing on the right things?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And, we tapped into a little bit about the administration, right? And I love your thought process on regulation and technology should, innovation should be pushing forward, but we should also still be responsible, right? And so we're now facing a pretty interesting time within our financial ecosystem. And we're finding that folks are looking at their spend a little differently, right? And so I think an aspect of what we should be doing about money and technology, of course, is to just continue to aid in economic mobility and dignity, right? I've been having a lot of conversations with leaders on this concept of financial well-being. We keep saying that, right? And we keep talking about that because there's aspects of emotions that impact our financial decisions, right? But that's why I said economic mobility and dignity is really important because I think we need to be considering our designing when we build out our products. We really need to consider financial volatility, right? We have lots of things going on here in our administration, right? We have tariffs, we have inflation that's happening, right? We have the push of technology that is having us force us having conversations about even the way we work, right? We see an increase in the gig economy, right? A decrease in actual available roles, like. And so if that's happening, are the financial institutions building services around the dynamic that we're currently facing within our financial ecosystem? And I'm not necessarily saying everything is negative, but I think we need to be adaptable in this industry. And so that's why I continue to push this empathy side of banking. I love it. It's like my title. Because how do we bring back this human concept into banking, right? We're so focused, and we could talk about this, Theo. We're focused on automation and efficiency, but have we lost the art of relationship building? Which is why I love working with like the regional banks, the community banks, right? I've been tapping into this space because they still anchor on this relationship building concept. But what I think is pretty interesting, this is where the money and technology comes. Is there a way we could build that relationship banking model into the digital platforms that we're building, right? Into the neobanks, into how we operate digitally. And it's something that, yes, we have multiple fintech solutions everywhere, but they're not really talking to each other and building this like community or this aspect of building for the human. I don't know. That's where I think that is. I'm curious your thoughts as well.
No, I think you're spot on. I was exchanging notes with a friend. He was talking about Simple. Remember Simple? It's,
Simple.
it was brilliant solution. It
Yeah.
has so many things on it that made sense, that helped us do things easier and simpler. And I would say, even though we have had hundreds of fintechs that have appeared since then,
Yeah.
we hadn't seen one that fundamentally focus on the human needs, right? A lot of them do similar things. They make your experience a little bit simpler. They make onboarding easier. They make money movement a little bit easier. They make it easier for you to lend,
Yeah.
borrow in that case. But that's pretty much it. It's like a little bit here and there. And to your point about everything that we face as consumers nowadays, especially in the last, I would say, 12-ish months,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that, it's happening. People not having access to their wages, right, for an extended period of time when the government shut down.
Yeah.
People losing their jobs abruptly
Yeah.
and not having anything else to do. Like in our area, I see a lot of government workers who lost their job and they all end up driving Uber.
Yeah.
Is ride hailing something that can sustain one's living? I would say really not, especially not in this area.
Yeah.
And then what are we doing? What are we helping people? Where are consumers turning to? And are we meeting them where they are? And predominantly, I think a lot of the answers to that question is no. Now, one might argue this is not really a bank's job, but there are things that we can do, I would say, since we sit in the intersection of technology and money movement. Um, we are happily taking people's money and not paying them interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, bad Theo, right there.
And
I think there are
yeah.
some institutions that are doing amazing work,
Yeah.
but I would love to see more.
I think so too. And that's why it's funny. I enjoy the conversations globally because I think, there's outside regions that are looking at this problem statement and leveraging products to be able to adapt to their consumers' needs. Like we look at Latin America, we're looking at things like Pix. They're doing some really interesting things around open banking on their side of the house. Even the early days of earned wage access, right? Like
I
being
love pigs.
able,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And so I think interesting. I think this is the year of transformation. And, I don't have a negative viewpoint of the banking industry. I think it's just we need to have these progressive conversations to remind the industry that we need to be adaptable to the consumer's needs. Right? It all starts with the consumers, right? We're the ones that we need to sell for, not necessarily all the enterprises.
And not just the 1%.
Thank you so much.
I do wonder if we could have been maybe a little bit removed from how half the country live, and that could be why. I do remember vividly quite a few years ago when I was advocating for we need to do more for older adults and aging population. It's like maybe about 8 years ago now. I literally got yelled at by people and said, Theo, they're decumulating. This is not our business model. And I'm like, really? So you're focusing your energy on youngsters, no offense to youngsters, I have two of them, that, are not generating income, but you're looking at the potential. And then in doing so, you're telling them that, oh, I like you guys, but I don't really care much for your parents. I mean, what kind of message are you sending?
Exactly.
Care for the people doesn't mean philanthropy. It means looking at their needs and finding solutions to meet them where they are. That's what it means.
I totally, Theo, and I like the point that you brought up, because like we talk about underserved communities, the unbanked, but that's starting to look differently as well, right?
Yeah.
You just brought up the example of this concept of ageism, right? Where we're missing that community or that audience in the services that we're building. We have what I really loved about technology and fintech solutions We've even tapped into the folks that disability, right? Like we're
Mm.
letting them have expansion, excuse me, we're letting them have access to to technology tools that aids them in banking. And we can't forget this part of banking where we need to cater to all. And it's like what you said, we just continue to focus on faster speed, or for the consumers that don't even have the income yet. What is it, Gen Alpha? And like, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. My daughter doesn't, she's got a savings account, but that's it.
Well, so that's the interesting thing you just brought up, right? I opened up bank accounts for my kids when they were
Yeah,
little because
yeah,
that's what parents do, right? You open
yeah,
an account and you put their birthday money,
yeah,
etc. in there. And during COVID, we had such a hard time trying to figure out how to do online banking for kids account.
yeah,
We ended up going to the bank branch,
yeah.
and they at that time the branch was closed, right? So they had the pneumatic tube outside. It's like,
Hmm.
talk about retro.
Yeah, yeah,
And we got the money out for them, and we never looked back. Since then, I've opened up two online accounts for them with FinTechs
yeah,
because it's something that they can move things easier. They provide the education for them. It gives them the ability to control, at the same time give me the ability and the visibility to
yeah,
see what they're doing and set limits, and give them pocket money for chores, etc. It fits our lifestyle to what we need. Not because I didn't like the banks. I was really trying hard to find one that works, but it just did not meet our lifestyle.
yeah,
And for the kids, they see how I bank. They know what bank I use, and they also know I use Apple Pay, and our whole ecosystem is based on Apple.
yeah,
To which 2 years ago, my son asked, he's like, "Why do we even need to open a bank account for us? You can just use Apple Pay,
yeah. And
right?"
oh,
Um, because for them, is this is something that resonates. This is a brand they know. This is something they trust, and this is something they see movement of, not just money, but their lifestyle.
ooh, so I love this, Theo, because this is part of what I'm trying to build out as well in terms of financial education, because we this concept of financial literacy, right? I do think it needs a little bit of revamping. I think it needs to like get up to speed with the latest technologies. And like you brought up a great thought process, because are we in a generation where the kids that are coming along will be like, do I really need a bank? Right? And so are we equipped, like equipping this generation with the education along with it, right? Like, leveraging certain technologies to be able to have access to your funds. I don't know if it's there yet, and it's almost part of this North Star that I'm working towards, like really trying to combine the two. Because there is a generational aspect of things that we need to kind of revamp and match to the current lifestyles that we have, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a great example.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And revamp indeed.
Yeah,
The the one thing that irks me the most is often when we look at people who are disadvantaged, what's the first thing that we throw at them? You're not financially literate.
right,
Because the society just makes the assumption if you're poor and you don't know how to manage your money, you must be financially illiterate,
right.
and therefore you need education. Okay, all right. Maybe it's time to unlink that. I think we all need a little bit
Yeah,
to do better. We
yeah,
all need some tools, we all need guidance, but one doesn't always equate the other.
yeah,
So, speaking of which, talk
yeah.
about revamp. If we look back at the year that is 2025, how would you sum that up?
Yeah. So in my world, I like to
In the world of Amanda.
in the world of Amanda, that is, focused on financial inclusion. I think I told you earlier, my persona is I'm an advocate of financial inclusion, and quite a few. It's a basic, simple topic, but there are areas that has concerned me, like brought up concerns for me, and it's almost why it led me to the partnership with the Consumer Reports. Like, if you think about it, this year was a very challenging year in terms of consumer protection, right? We're looking at the CFPB right now that's facing significant budget constraints. There's policy rollbacks that are really creating concerns about how consumers will, operate within certain APRs. Like, it's almost brought us into this concept of self-regulation. And I'm not sure if you got it. Yes, right? We have to almost self-regulate. If our administration, if our government is not telling us, hey, these are the rules of the road for consumer protection, right? We're going to now need to amplify this conversation around self-regulating ourselves. Almost like what I really liked, especially the beginning of the year. I don't know if you got a chance to catch up with the Financial Health Network. They put together a list of standards to consider, right? With credit card, not regulations, but rules around credit cards, how to manage credit cards. And, I think that was really important. It says something about this year in terms of consumer protection. And that's what's been an area of focus for me, which is, another reason why, like I said, I partnered with the Consumer Reports, and they've put together this Fairness by Design playbook, which focuses on principles around transparency, supporting financial well-being. That was part of our conversation earlier, being inclusive, providing safety. And, this is really important. Like, if you notice it, the nonprofits are now pushing these efforts because it's been rolled back from our administration. Even the wallet monitoring, digital wallet monitoring has also been removed. And so it's almost like the health of our economy is really interesting right now. And if we are going to push for innovation, which I am all for, are we doing it responsibly? So that, to me, this 2025 has just been this opportunity for us not to necessarily say, hey, I'm upset about some of the rules that are now being removed. It's more like we need some of these rules. We really need to identify where can we offset the things that are now being missed. And so I'm really thankful. There's quite a few organizations I'm working with, and we'll see some activities next year. I'll talk to you about the tech sprint that I'm building with the Consumer Reports team. But it's really important, and this is the persona I've decided to work on, to speak up for the quote unquote undeserved, which to me looks very different than it did 15, 20, 30 years ago. And so that, to me, is 2025. Like, that was the mission. It's having these progressive conversations. Yeah, like just recently, Theo, I was in Houston, in a room full of regulators, and I was just talking to them about the human side of fraud education, right? Like understanding the psychology side of it, right? Understanding authority biases. And to me, it's just reminding the industry that we need to there has to be some level of importance around these things, especially if they're now being removed or revamped or someone else is in charge of it. Let
Or
me
deprioritized.
Right, prioritize. Oh, that was the word I was looking for.
It's
It's crazy times.
it is crazy times.
Yeah.
If self-regulation works, then why did we introduce new rules in the last decade or so? That's what I would like to know.
We want everybody to do the right things, right?
But the right things for different parties look different, right?
Right things
And
for different
yeah,
parties. And, that's why I just say, I think technology is moving forward and it's exciting times, right? Because on the flip side of it, it's opening up for new things, new areas of focus. Um, but it just reminds me that I got to say, hey guys, I got to
don't
crash.
forget us.
Don't forget us, right? I'm crashing the party to be like, please, let's just consider the human side of what we're building.
So what do you look forward to next year, Amanda?
Oh my gosh, next year is gonna be amazing. I'm so excited. Like this year, we really focused on exposure. Like this was my first year on the board of NAFLE, and I got a chance to have a lot of really interesting conversations with financial institutions. I did the partnership with Consumer Reports. We talked about the playbook, but next year we are now putting this in action, right? We're gonna now put together this tech sprint. We're calling it a fair design tech sprint, where we're going to create this collaborative space where we're going to have industry leaders, folks from financial institutions, fintechs, policy, and we're gonna put them all in one room, and we're gonna give them some of the consumers' problem statements to work through. And to me, it's a really good opportunity to put action into the thoughts that we've been bringing, the conversations that we've been bringing this year. We've decided, hey, we're going to get you guys all in the room and really leverage the principles, not only leveraging the principles and some of the measurement concepts, but really, having the consumers there to build with some of these product builders and operators. So we're getting in everybody's face, Theo, next year. It's going to be in April. We're hosting the event in Atlanta. I'd love to have you join us, Theo, as maybe an industry expert. Come, roll up your sleeves and put your 2 cents, and really, like I said, self-regulate. Now we're going to put, the responsibilities to the folks who are building. And I think that's okay.
That's okay. It's a new way of doing things. And, hopefully we will, if nothing else, raise awareness and remind people what we're here for.
Yeah.
And so it's all good. It's going to be now. Before I let you go,
Oh, okay. Uh-oh.
I know you're all excited about 2026, and
So excited.
let's start building. If you have one superpower that you can have, this is a fun question. What would that be and why?
Ooh, the one superpower. I just hope my voice is loud enough so folks can hear all the things that we're trying to build. But
Remember the avatar that we built in DC?
oh my gosh, yes.
So would that be that, or what would you be like? What would be Superman be like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe an Olympian, like really trying to strengthen skills and tell people, hey, let's just remind ourselves to be empathetic in the products that we're building. But a lot of the things that I would love to do is, if it would be a superpower, probably be to make our invisible systems visible. And I think that's what I'm essentially doing, Theo. I'm raising the attention, I'm raising the awareness of us really thinking through when a consumer is denied credit, or when there's fees that pop up, or when there's a new way of banking that maybe a gig worker can leverage, right? It's the conversations around digital identity. I love digital identity because I love this concept of one being accounted for, one being seen. um, it's all the new things happening with stable coins and leveraging blockchain technology to be able to not only have stake in the game, but maybe a new investment tool. And I think what I'm trying to, like, my superpower, maybe this, I'm going back to the Olympian, is maybe just bringing a little bit of awareness so that the individuals know that they are empowered to have so many options. It's just maybe they're just not aware with it, and they're not educated, and that they have a voice in the things that we build, right? That's really important, because baking can be very emotional, can be sensitive, right, Theo? And sometimes it's scary, especially around debt management. And so folks feel like they don't have a voice. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Your voice is what's really helping build the technologies that we use to serve you. So I don't know. I want everybody to speak up now. This is 2026 is the year for action. This year, what 2025 was to speak up about it. But let's see what, I'm excited about the tech sprint. There's more partnerships to come too, Theo, next year. I'm working with a lot of organizations to amplify this concept of financial inclusion and all the things underneath it, and really remaining human in what we build.
I love that. And at the end of the day, we are humans after all. You and me sitting here
Right.
talking about human problems and trying to solve human problems and bringing a human angle to it. So I love that. See, what did I say? Your energy and just you shine through. If there's one accessory that you have as an Olympian, that would be the torch. So
Ooh.
thank you so much, Amanda, my friends. I appreciate you joining our show. And for the rest of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of One Vision. We'll talk to you next week.